I have got a cracking recipe for you this week, guys. It's the most indulgent, richest, most luxurious dessert on the planet. It's sticky toffee pudding, and I'm sharing my recipe. You are not going to want to miss this. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is Steph the Pastry Chef. I'm a 5-star professional pastry chef working at one of the leading hotels in the UK. And here on my channel, I am showing you how to create incredible desserts from the comfort of your own home with easy to follow step-by-step recipes. So guys, this week, sticky toffee pudding. Yes! Everyone loves a good sticky toffee pudding. It was invented originally in the beautiful Lake District in Cartmel, but it's now spread right throughout the country and indeed the world. It's on every pub menu up and down the UK. People love it, and there's good reason. It's so rich, it's so indulgent, and it is so tasty. Every chef out there has their own recipe they swear by. This one is mine. I can't believe I'm sharing it. It's a little bit naughty because it's just so good. I've done a few little tweaks in there, a few extra flavor bombs that's going to really take it to another level. Stick around to the end of the video to see the last one. You're going to really enjoy this. What more do I need to say? This is a class dessert. Let's get into the recipe.
Just to start off the recipe, talking about the main ingredient, which are these lovely dates. These are Medjool dates. They're beautiful, plump, caramel flavour. However, these dried pitted dates, they're absolutely fine. So if you can get the Medjool, use those. If not, use the dried pitted dates. So to begin with, we're going to place 250 grams of water into a pan, bring it to the boil, and add 2 bags of Earl Grey tea. This adds a really tasty background flavour to the sticky toffee puddings, and I really highly recommend using this. So we turn off the heat, cling film the pan, and leave that to infuse for 5 minutes. This is a really important stage. We need to take out the stones or the pits from these dates. The dried pitted ones might not have stones, but you do need to check. We're then going to roughly chop these dates, transfer them into a bowl. We're then going to remove the tea bags from our Earl Grey tea, bring it back up to the boil, and add it onto the dates together with 1 teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda. So we'll then want to cling film the container, set it aside for another 10 minutes just to let that hot tea soften the dates before transferring into the jug of a blender or a food processor, whizzing that up on full power until you have a lovely smooth puree. If you were to hear a little clicking while you puree the dates, it means that there's still a pit or a stone that's actually not been removed correctly from the dates. So in that case, you'll need to pass it through a sieve, and here you can see I found one that I failed to remove. We don't want that going in the dessert. So once you've done that, you've got this lovely puree. We are ready to go with our sponge. So we'll take 100 grams of soft butter, just nice and soft as you can see here. A little top tip, you can actually use the microwave on defrost setting to soften butter quickly. To that, we're going to add 140 grams of soft light brown sugar, 1 heaped tablespoon or 30 grams of black treacle. More about this amazing ingredient later. So we're going to place this in a bowl and whisk it with an electric whisk until it's really nice and creamy. It's aerated slightly, the colour is a little bit lighter, and you've got a nice, soft, creamy batter. This is going to help achieve a nice lightness of texture in the sponge. Now we're going to beat together 2 eggs or 100 grams of whole eggs, and we will add half of this mixture to the batter, and we're going to whisk that again until it's nice, light, creamy and smooth. Really important, guys, your eggs are at room temperature. Very important for a nice light sponge. We don't set and cool the butter and lose all of the air that we've then incorporated into the sponge batter. So we're going to whisk that till it's light and smooth, and then to that we're going to take 200 grams of plain all-purpose flour, add 12 grams or 3 teaspoons of baking powder, mix it together well and sieve it all together. We will then fold 1/2 of the flour into our cake batter, stir it until it's beautifully incorporated, and then from there we will take half of our lovely date puree, which should be at room temperature now, shouldn't be too hot, and then we're going to fold that all together and then repeat the process. Add the other half of the flour, mix it together well, followed finally by the last half of the date puree. At this point, the batter is now ready to go into the moulds. For this recipe, I've actually used ceramic ramekins, but any individual pudding mould will do. What we'll do is take some soft butter. We're going to brush that into the moulds. Here you can see I've also got these tinfoil dariole moulds, which you can get from a hardware store for pretty cheap. Either works absolutely beautiful. Butter the moulds really well, and then take some caster sugar, and this is another little trick which is going to elevate the pudding to the next level. We're actually going to line it with sugar. So we butter, then we add the sugar, and we tip it out, we rotate it, and from there you've got these amazing sugared ramekins. So as these puddings bake in the oven, the sugar is going to start to melt and caramelize and form just another little dimension of texture and flavour to this dessert. When they're ready, we're going to add our batter about 2/3 of the way full up the mould, because you don't want it too full, because as it grows, it expands in the oven, it will overflow. So about 2/3, and they can go into the oven, preheated to 170 degrees, and we're going to bake that for between 22 and 26 minutes until a skewer inserted into the centre of the sponge comes out clean. While that bakes, we're going to make our toffee sauce by taking 250 grams of double cream, 85 grams of soft light brown sugar, 40 grams of unsalted butter, and then this amazing ingredient of black treacle. Now, black treacle is actually a byproduct from refining sugar. I mean, just look at the shine and the gloss on that. It just adds such a dark, rich depth of flavour to the dessert. It's essentially the same thing as molasses. If you can't find black treacle, that's absolutely fine. And if you can't find either of these, then you could replace it with golden syrup and perhaps swap the light brown sugar for soft dark brown sugar. From there, we're also going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Place that on a high heat, bring it to the boil while stirring it until it's all melted beautifully together. Then once it's all melted together and the butter is dissolved, we're going to bring it to the boil and simmer it for between 2, 3, 4 minutes until it's just thickened to a nice sauce consistency. Here you can see nicely coating this spoon. To finish, very important, just a little 1/4 teaspoon of salt, which is just going to cut through the richness of that sauce and bring out the flavour of the dessert. And then we're ready to go. So my puddings are out of the oven. We're going to test that it's cooked by inserting this skewer, bringing it out, and you can see it's clean. That means it's ready. Now, this is really important. We're now going to puncture the top of the desserts all over, so there's lots and lots of holes there. We're going to take some of that hot sauce and we're going to spoon it on top of the pudding. Leave it for about 10-15 minutes, and what that's going to do is it's going to soak into the pudding and give it a really unctuous, rich and moist centre. These are the type of steps that we can take as cooks to take a dessert from good to great. So turning attention to a funky little garnish. Now, I mentioned this earlier, it's just another way of elevating this, adding a little bit of texture to the dessert and a little bit of playfulness as well. So to make a popcorn caramel crumble, we're going to add a splash of vegetable oil to a hot pan, 40 grams of popcorn kernels, and on a high heat, cook this until the popcorn kernels have all popped, obviously using a lid, very important for this one. And once the popping of the kernels has slowed down, we're going to remove it from the heat, take the lid off, there goes one, and decant that into a bowl to stop it burning on the base of the pan. From here, we're going to carefully transfer the popped kernels into a bowl, leaving behind all of the small pieces that haven't popped or that are not worth using. Discard those and we've got this beautiful popcorn. So from here, we're going to make a caramel. So we take 40 grams of caster sugar, melt it down on a medium heat until it's a golden brown, a nice caramel amber colour. Taking extra care as caramel is very, very hot. You don't want to get that on your skin. From here, we're going to take our popped popcorn, add it to the caramel, turn the heat off, stir it really, really well until the caramel is evenly coating all of those lovely popcorn kernels. We're going to remove that from a pan onto a non-stick baking tray, spread it out and leave it to set for 5 to 10 minutes. Don't be tempted to eat this now because it's actually very hot. After 10 minutes, it's now crispy. We're going to transfer some of that to a blender, blend it up until it reaches the consistency of a little crumble, and that is ready for our garnish. Please keep this in an airtight container, very important, and any remaining popcorn you can just eat as a lovely snack. So the moment of truth, we're going to pop out the sticky toffee puddings. Once they've cooled for at least 15 or 20 minutes so that they are cool enough to handle, invert those upside down, lift off the ramekin, and here we have the most incredible sticky toffee pudding. Look at those beauties! So to serve these puddings, place the pudding into a serving bowl. Heat in the microwave until it's hot. If it's room temperature, it will be around 30 to 40 seconds. A little bit longer if it's from the fridge. Reboil the sauce in a pan, and as the French would say, nappe, or spoon over the sauce onto your pudding. This is just unbelievable, guys. You can leave it simple like that if you want. You don't need anything else with it. However, for me, I always like a beautiful vanilla ice cream with mine. Whatever your favourite store-bought ice cream is, or make it yourself, even better. So let's all just take a moment of appreciation for a well-made sticky toffee pudding. Is there anything on the planet that can rival this dessert on a cold winter's evening, or at any time for that matter? If you do disagree, let me know in the comments below, but I'm going to take a lot of convincing. So we do add that beautiful vanilla ice cream, our lovely caramel popcorn crumble, which is just going to give that lovely bit of texture, and there we have it, my recipe for sticky toffee pudding.
look at that bad boy. Oh, just so tasty. I mean, come on. It's a special treat, but we all need a treat every now and then. There is a lot of good reason why that is. It's a classic for a reason, and that's what I always say. The classics are the best. That's the foundation for everything that we do as good pastry chefs. You take those classics and you try and elevate them. Maybe a few modern twists in there. But this truly is a classic. You don't want to mess around too much with it, but I've just tweaked it, just those little extra bits to elevate it, make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit of texture on there as well. It goes without saying, you've got to try this recipe. I'd love to know if you try this recipe out and how you think it compares to maybe one in your favorite pub. Please let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave me a like, hit that subscribe button, it really helps. And I'll see you next week for an amazing new recipe on Steph the Pastry Chef.